Hey, welcome to the guide, Feral Druid Macros and Talents. I'm going to go through my easy mode setup, which allows you to do reasonable damage. You may not be top damage, but some, reasonable damage, but with easy delivery of that damage. So, first of all, I'll take you through the talents. And we see I've gone down the left of each one of these and picked the basically the passive ones where possible and specific instant ones where I want it. So I can put these I'll put these into the video description. You can see that there. Alright. And next we'll take a quick look at the macros and then I'll do a demo. So we bring up the macros. These are my mostly balanced druid macros, but we have macros for damage boost, for generating combos, and for consuming combos on 3 different buttons. And we have Control, Shift, Alt modifiers in addition to the standard non-modifier. So let's take a quick look at the macro. I just need to find it. Yeah, it's these ones. Alright, so this one secondary. This one primary. Sorry, secondary pair. Right, here's primary. Feral Druid primary attack macro. So this one is about generating combo points. Might look a bit complicated, but if we look at this part here where it says no modifier, I'll talk about the reset in a moment. But basically, in a sequence here, in a cast sequence, we do each spell that's going to generate macros. So we start with Rake, and if you're stealth, that obviously does a stun as well. Then a Moonfire, then a Shred, then a Shred, then a Shred. And why are we repeating that? It's basically just to generate those combos without going back to Rake or Moonfire, because we don't need to go back there yet, because they're on a timer on the dot. So we just generate the combos. And you obviously got to watch the nameplate or whatever to make sure that you do what you want to do at the right combo level. The reset, that basically means if I pressed this button twice or whatever, and then didn't press it for 5 seconds, it would reset back to the start, back to the Rake. And we also have these modifiers, which basically allow us to do control, different action when I press the button. When control is held down, swipe. Or if shift is held down, swipe as well, but it could be something else. I've just made them both swipe because there's nothing else that I want to make it this time. Alt does my Moonfire. Sometimes you're at a distance and you want to do a dedicated Moonfire. That is the principle of the macros. You can adjust these as you want. Maybe you want a different setup, but the base macro is a template for you. So this, and obviously call it what you want. I just called it that. It's my primary attack. It generates combos. And this one is my secondary attack. It consumes the combos. And just to point out, you could use this general setup for any class. I've used it on a variety of alts. And the same basic setup works great on them all. It's the same concept for them all. You're either generating combos or you're generating some power or whatever with the primary attack, and then with the secondary attack, you're consuming that, and that's the way things generally work. So we have the secondary attack consuming our combos. Again, we have a reset. So that's going to reset after 10 seconds of not doing anything on the non-modifier. Yeah, it's getting a bit complicated the way I say it, but basically you've got a primary attack and a secondary attack. Primary attack generates combos, secondary attack, this one we're looking at, consumes them. And it also does a Tiger's Fury there. So when I generate the combos, I'll show you a demo in a moment. I generate the combos, generate with the other macro. And then when it gets to 5 combo points or whatever number of combo points you want, you press your secondary button, this one, which will do a rip. Then you press the primary one again, get it to the number of combos. The next time you press the secondary attack, it'll do a ferocious bite if it's within 10 seconds, which it generally will be, and if not, it'll just reset back to the rip. So you do a couple of ferocious bites. The reason there's 2, as with the other macro, is just to pad it out to extend the amount of time it will take to get back to the rip because of the dot. Now the thing is, that is the core of the easy mode, but that's not going to work in every situation. Sometimes you're going to be applying the rip when you don't need to. If you're paying attention, you can avoid it. But it's designed so that in general, it's going to work out. In general, it's fine. Will it work for high-end arena, high-end rated BGs, whatever? Probably not. But for the type of stuff that I do, random battlegrounds, works very nice. You can potentially use this for an off-spec that you don't necessarily want to learn much. Or you can potentially only use these macros part of the time. You could still have the normal buttons set up, allowing you to choose when you do each action, in addition to having these separately set up for when you don't feel like doing that. It's up to you. So that's the primary attack and the secondary attack. And we also have a damage boost. So we press this button when we want to do our bigger damage. So it's I've got it on the Alt modifier so that I'm not accidentally pressing it all the time. I want to deliberately do it. Got a reset of 60 seconds, so that should just be set to the whichever one of these spells would end latest, I guess. I don't know, can't remember. Anyway, so on this one we have Mighty Bash, boom, stun. Feral Frenzy, boom, build up your 5 combos. Then Ferocious Bite to use those combos. Then Berserk. Then Immediate Prowl, which won't always work because you might have dots on, but basically, at minimum, it should detarget you if you're being targeted. And then a Rake. So if you manage to stay in Prowl, you'll do another Rake, which again, through diminishing returns, it might not be a very long stun, but could be interrupting something. It could be just, giving you the little edge there. So that's designed to basically do it without thinking. And again, like with the other macros, it generally works. Sometimes it won't work out for you, and sometimes most of the time, hopefully it will. It's designed to just press. So you press it, Mighty Bash, press it, Feral Frenzy, press it, Ferocious Bite, press it, Berserk, press it, Prowl, press it, Rake. There's nothing stopping you being a bit more careful about pressing it so that it's more timed right, basically, as well. But if you don't want to, just mash it and it'll just spit out these spells. On the non-modifier, I've got a mime just for a stun when you want it. That works pretty nice. And there's other macros as well. We have macros for survival. So we want to get into bear form or do renewal or do regrowth or do entangling roots, that sort of stuff. I've put it all on this one. And that's when you're in feral form. I have a separate one, pretty similar, except it's for when you're in bear form. So you just drag this onto your action bar when you're in bear form. And we have a shields macro. It's going to do your iron for survival instincts and thorns and whatnot. Bark skin. Those all work pretty good. We got a charge, so we can do stampeding roar, wild charge, skull bash, that sort of thing. And there's various other macros too. I'll put them in the description so you can copy paste them. There's also some notes for what you should remember when you're doing the setting up the macros. For example, if you're not using the English client of WoW, the spells must be in your language, so you would have to change them if you're not using the English client. Hey, let's take a look at a little quick demo. Just give me a second to get there. I could have mounted up, but I just want to stay in my feral form. This is Dragonflight, but I've come to the Legion area because it's the Druid spot. I love it. I love this spot, and it's got the training dummies too. And for the last few videos I've done of this, it's got that on there. I think in past expansions, I made a few videos like this per expansion. Zoom out a bit. Then in Shadowlands, I didn't. I don't think I made a feral one because I was playing balance more. Anyway, let's take a look. Now I've got my action bars hidden. You don't actually need to see them. But, these are the macros on the action bars. I've just dragged them on here. So when I'm in this cat form, it uses these macros. If I'm in bear form, these are different macros. Some of them might be the same. But you use the relevant macro, depending on the form. And when you're stealthed, you might have different macros potentially. So I'm just going to do a quick demo of those macros, and I'll just quickly say again. We have the primary attack macro, which generates combos. So you don't need to hold Control, Alt, Shift, or anything like that down. Just press the macro button, and it will generate combos in that sequence. So just keep pressing it. Then when it gets to the number of combo points that you want to consume, could be 5, could be 4, whatever it is, then you press the secondary macro, and that will consume all those combo points. And then you generate it again. Boom, 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 generate. Then you consume. So one macro to generate, one macro to consume. And a third macro does your damage boost, berserk and whatnot. And various other macros for shields, healing, and whatnot. So let's give it a go. Let's attack. I'll just do a quick demo. So I'm gonna generate combos, consume combos. So I pressed first one to generate, second one to consume. First, second. And obviously you're gonna do it when it's the right time to do it. Like, you don't want to waste your consumption necessarily by just increasing these dots continuously. You want to let those dots get down a bit. And on a training dummy, you don't really see the true effect because it's doing it so quick. If you were actually in a fight, you wouldn't necessarily be continuously hitting like that. So it's the timings of it, the number of casts of things like Shred. The reason there's like 3 or whatever in there, it's just basically to spread things out a bit. And it generally works. When you're doing it yourself, feel free to customize it. You may be like, oh, well, I want an extra shred in there, or I want one less shred. The only thing you'll have to take into account is there is a limit on the number of characters you can have in a macro, 250 or whatever it is. But yeah, you can also add trinket effects in there when you press one of your macros. Maybe you want a trinket to fire, like maybe the damage boost. Maybe that does something. That's up to you. So I'll show you the damage boost now. Let's just go back into stealth. You know, it immediately went to Berserk, Prowl, and Rake again. And that it does it really quick. So you just mash that button, boom, you've done all that stuff. And you've got Berserk up. But after the Berserk and the Prowl, you could have decided to stay in stealth, for example. Which is pretty good. So although it's not really automated, it's just making it smoother for you. You have the choice to just mash the buttons, which will work a lot of the time, or you can choose when you can still choose when to press the buttons for the delivery of stuff, or you can have separate buttons for doing specific things at specific times. That's up to you. So that is the basis of these easy mode macros and the talents. Again, these talents, they're all set up for the absolute basic passive. Like I've tried to avoid anything that wants me to do something extra. Makes the macros more complicated. But again, that is up to you. You could put more of these instant spells into the macro if you wish. You can just modify it. And although the setup we have here is for Feral Druid, again, you can put it onto other specs. I've got one for Balanced Druid. You could put it onto other classes. The same concept works for every class, I think. For damage anyway. For damage, you're either generating combos, you're generating some sort of power on one macro, and you've got all your spells in that macro that are going to do generating stuff. Then you've got a second macro that all your spells in there are the consume spells in there. And the damage boost. You know, I've got a shields macro. Got all your shields on that one macro. You got your heal macro, which also does entangling roots in this case. I've got a macro for basically stopping enemies in some way. On this character, or on this spec rather, there's it doesn't really do much because I didn't take the talents for Cyclone and whatnot. But it's a macro that you could just fill in that sort of stuff if you choose to take things like Cyclone. That's what I do in my Balanced Druid setup. Hey, so that's it. I'll put a example of it in action in a battleground after this. And again, I'm not necessarily going to be top damage in it, but it's enough. It does the job for random battlegrounds, and I have fun doing it this way. If you're the type of person that wants to do things at a very specific time, these macros are not for you. And I'm not suggesting that you use it for, pushing arena or whatever. No, it's not going to work because you can't. I mean, you can set it up so that you could, but with these macros that I'm showing you, it's not as easy to do specific things at specific times, basically. It's designed for button mashing, right? Easy mode. All right. We'll leave it there. Hey, if you want to subscribe and see more videos like this, please do. Give us a like. Likes actually help with the algorithm, so the more likes this video gets, the higher it should be positioned in theory. If you want to leave a comment, what do you think about these macros? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Do you think they're a stupid idea, a good idea? Are there improvements that could be made? If you want to join our PvP community, it's not like it's a big community. The number of active is not that high, but if you want to join us, go ahead. It's details are in the description. All right, so you can also watch me on Twitch if you wish. I've got a Twitch channel in the description. I basically just do random battlegrounds and world PvP and just having fun messing about. Check it out if you wish. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Is this a hub? No, he'll do. How far is you gonna get? I chased him. That's hilarious. There is no escape. How many kills is that? Ah, it's only 10. I'm guessing that resets. Or does it? I don't know. Let's see if I can get another. Oh, who's that? He was very quick at getting his mount. Oh yeah, that counts. He keeps dying. I know, he's a looby. I know.